Ho, 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 and welcome back. I'm John Stark from ActTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. And 'tis the season to watch really generic movies that feel like they were all shot simultaneously on the same lot with a uh, cycle of actors that just kind of stepped off and said lines and then went back and they're like, when's my next movie? What's my next character's name? Uh, the general sort of cycle of vague Hallmark, Lifetime, Great American Family, now bleeding into Netflix Christmas originals. This is fall into winter, and it stars Lori Laughlin and James Tupper, and that's about where that stops in terms of people I expect you to know off the top of your head. Which is generally how these movies work. They take one or two TV stars and put them at the top of the film, or former film stars, as is the case with Lacey Chabert, who she was in Mean Girls, so clearly not having the same career as Academy Award nominee Amanda Seyfried or Academy Award nominated Rachel McAdams, went in a different direction, but I'm sure it's a profitable one for her. I'm sure she's doing quite well for herself in a niche like this. But this is fall into winter, which has audio description on Netflix, done by International Digital Center. So it's actually kind of a win because the audio description is kind of great. The character descriptions are really good when we're first introduced to them. Unexpectedly so. I felt like I knew who was bald and who wasn't, who had hair, who was losing their hair. I think there was a character who was like going bald. I think her brother or something was balding. So it was like a stage of baldness. We didn't just go to, straight from hair to no hair. We were like mid process. We got racial definitions. They we always have to have token characters that show up in these franchises, and more I think they're given like the B plot to kind of hold down the fort. Like, so the main story is with Lori Laughlin, but what's in the B story? Well, we do have black actors here, and it'd be nice if the audience could see them do something. Oh my god, we should totally do that. Thank you. B plot it is. B plot. There's also like a C plot with like James Tupper's dad, who I actually thought was gonna be the one to hook up with Lori Laughlin. I thought we were gonna go. he's really, when we first meet him in the movie, he's all about those singles nights at the old person's home. He's one of those people who sounds like somebody who, like, why are you in a retirement center? Like, he doesn't even sound old enough to be in one. He's like forming full and complete sentences. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, he's just like, well, I'm a little bit of an older man, and I guess it's time for me to move into a retirement home. It's like, what are you, 55? Like, what is older for you? He sounds like marginally older than his son. But there's a bakery, because a lot of these movies have bakeries in them. And our lead, Lori Laughlin, is trying to protect the bakery and her way of life in this small town. She makes good confections, and people come in and they're like, my son's coming in, so I need like a pound of fudge, and give me like a pound of this. Like, they just like order things from her, and that's their life. But the brother comes in with some devastating news that shocks her world. It's very dark for this type of movie. Just for a moment of silence, we will rock your world. This level, I don't know that you're fully prepared. I'm giving you moments to be prepared. Okay, so the brother is moving. His wife took an emergency job in the United Kingdom, has already left, is gone, so they didn't have to cast an actress in that role. Gone to the UK. She's a teacher, and they immediately needed a professor. And I think they teach somewhere in Ohio, because she said something about, I swear she was like, oh, London, Ohio? Like she thought her brother was moving to London, Ohio. And she's like, no, not London, Ohio. London, England. Will be gone for 5 years. I was like, that's a hell of a contract to get at the last minute. But really oddly specific period of time. Generally, professors get tenure after 5 years. But anywho, so I guess he's jet setting off. He's just wrapping up some loose ends, and he's like, well, I think the best thing for me to do is to sell my half of the bakery. And I thought that luckily we have an interested buyer. Former friend of mine, Dude You Hate, played by James Tupper, who is sort of like vaguely an investor in things. One of those guys doesn't really have a job, who just like somehow along the way got some money, and he just casually invested over here and then pulls some of it out and then casually invested. And he's like, what do you do for a living? Angel investor? I don't know. I'm a venture capitalist. So he invests in this bakery, and he kind of spurned Lori Laughlin's character back in the day, so she's not too happy to see him and doesn't think that he cares about things. And so they butt heads immediately, in this bakery situation. But of course, we all know where this is headed. This is headed for true love. These are two people who are just lonely, and they just want to find each other in time for Christmas or Thanksgiving. One of the holidays. It's a holiday movie. It can work really for anything. Hanukkah, in time for Hanukkah. Whatever holiday you would like to put in there, it's in time for that. Kwanzaa, whatever. It's a holiday movie. So yeah, that's kind of just how the movie progresses. It's boring. It's exactly what you think is going to happen. It has all of the polish and sheen of everything that has been regurgitated out of Hallmark in the last 20 years. I remember when we used to have the Hallmark movies of the week on CBS, and they were like legitimately really great movies, and they got really good actors to be in them, and people used to actually look forward to them, and they usually dominated the Emmy section, where these Hallmark movies, like Tuesdays with Morrie, gone are those days. You couldn't even try to do that nowadays if you wanted to. CBS couldn't bring back the Hallmark movie of the week if they wanted to, because people would just assume it was this. They'd be like, oh, there's a whole channel full of those, but why would we need a night on CBS? But legitimately, a whole bunch of those CBS had to deal with CBS, I guess, to produce those movies, and a lot of them are really good. There's one with Matthew Perry that was really good. The Ron somebody story. I just can't remember. It was a teacher. But yeah, I remember those movies sort of from my childhood era. And now this is all really they do. I think they just live and die for, well, it's almost holiday season. So much so that they have Christmas in July, because they have such a plethora of Christmas movies that they just bring them back. And they start Christmas in like October. So they're just like, this is all we have. We have so many movies, and they're all about Christmas. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about this movie. Was it the worst time I've had the movies? No. So that's the thing, is that these movies, there is something, a lot of critics would come on here and they'd be like, this is hot garbage F. That's what I don't do. I don't do that. There are a lot of other movies that have higher budgets, that are made by studios, that have directors that come in, that hire actors who have been in cinematic works, and those movies don't work. And there's nothing really about them that works. And they feel like a failure, and they feel like, nothing really happened. Or then there are these films that sort of just feel like they're coming off of just some sort of endless stream of the same thing. Just carbon copy, paint by numbers movies. And when you do that, sure, a paint by numbers thing is not uh, great art, but when you do it correctly, it's supposed to produce a competent drawing. And that's kind of what this is it's a competent, like, TV movie at the end of the day. Not a great one, but also you could do worse. So my if I were to say, instead of just saying goes right down the middle, I would say I'm leaning slightly negative, only because I felt like James Tupper and Lori Laughlin had no chemistry, and both seemed like they didn't want to be there. Like, both of them seemed very unenergetic for this type of movie. Um, uh, and I mean, I don't think I've seen James Tupper in things in a while. I was like, Men in Trees? Like, when was the last time I saw him in something? I can't even remember, but I feel like it's been a while, and it just felt like he never really connected with Lori. This isn't even the first movie they've done together. And I'm like, did somebody like them together? Are they, because they're not Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan. There isn't like this effortless chemistry between the two of them. They feel very like unenergized. Like, both of them could have used a Red Bull. As a matter of fact, while I don't know the names of the actors because I don't know who they are, but the black actors that they had in this film had way more energy and chemistry in this film and should have been the leads, because they felt way more in tune with the upbeat holiday theme of the movie. And I enjoyed them more than I did the leads who I know. Not that Lori Loughlin and James Tupper have had massive careers, but it's funny that the people probably that have second billing, the third and fourth largest characters in the, well, debatable on where you would place the dad character, but there are a couple of other characters too that feel more supporting. The dad could maybe be third, and then this couple could be maybe fourth and fifth, or you could do third and fourth, and then the dad and fifth. They're somewhere around in there. They're probably all about hovering around the secondary line. I thought they were more interesting. Even though the dad was more interesting than James Tupper in the scenes. Some of these people just felt like they knew what kind of movie they were in. And James Tupper was like, well, I'm getting a paycheck, so I'm tired of making these fucking movies. Lori Loughlin was like, oh my God, my bakery. Please don't take my bakery. Just, I don't know. I felt like everybody was just really low energy in that regard. But then the supporting cast was like, oh my God, we're being paid. This is amazing. Nobody knows who we are. We're going to be in a movie. I love this. I heart this so much. And even though their acting wasn't like great in the way that we would look at it nowadays and be like, oh, is it like a Nora? Would you compare this to Brutalist? No, of course not. But it's actually not really even good acting, but at least it's emotive in a direction that this film is supposed to be in. Like, this is supposed to be a cheerful movie. The other two seem like they need antidepressants to get through the movie. I don't know. It's very tonally weird. And that's probably the one negative that I would throw against it, rather than to just say hot garbage. This has no Metacritic score. Metacritic is the thing. The film world is very divided. It's all like, are you on film Twitter? Do you have a letterbox? Do you are you a Rotten Tomatoes approved critic? Are you are you one of the lucky few to be on This is no Metacritic score. You know how many films just like never get reviewed and nobody ever has Metacritic scores? Nobody ever wants to talk about them, and nobody ever wants to say, did this work? Did this not work? Was it good? Was it not good? Should you watch it? Should you, I'm doing that here with Fallen to Winter. I think if it's on Netflix, if you like this type of thing, I don't think it's on the better end of things that I've seen in this genre. I think I've seen a couple other things that I thought were actually fairly decent. I got the Noel Diary with Justin Hartley, was on Netflix maybe a year or two ago. That movie still kind of sticks out to me as being something that had a little bit more effort put into it. I do like the Christmas Chronicles movies, actually, on Netflix. Those are pretty good. Jingle Jangle. So I mean, like we've done some straight to streaming things that have been interesting. Not all of them. Some of them I hated. Boy Who Invented Christmas, I think was one of them. Did not like that movie. This is in the middle for me. I kind of knew what I was getting into. I was like, well, this is a Lori Laughlin, James Tupper movie. And go. But the funny thing is, I think they're the least interesting thing about their own movie. So that's a problem. Be like, if you're watching Wolves and you're like, wow, the movie's good, but what the fuck is wrong with George Clooney and Brad Pitt? Like, the whole reason you're supposed to be there is for George Clooney and Brad Pitt, not the movie. Um, so yeah, I was bored by the leads. Not that I don't like them. I don't have a problem with Lori Laughlin. Don't come at me with like that. Don't come at me with like, you're just a hater of Lori. Not a hater of Lori Laughlin. She just seems really tired and uninterested. So, yeah. I'm gonna give Fall into Winter, which is excellent audio description. I'm gonna give it a C minus. I mean, I guess like theoretically, like realistically, all of these films, when you try to compare them against like cinematic works, and you know, say it. I mean, maybe they should be, because they're kind of made cheaply. They should all be like in the D range, and like the best you could ever get would be like a D plus to be like a really good one. But I don't do that. I don't. I don't. I I see what this film is trying to be, what this film is trying to do, and I try to compare it to other films that are like it in my mind, and not films like The Brutalist. Like, that may be your thing, but this may be your thing. And so if this is your thing, I'm saying if C is average, this is slightly below that, mainly because the leads have less energy than the supporting cast. And it's noticeable to me. So, that's it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Hope you have a happy holidays. And I will be reviewing more of these movies. And see you guys on the other side.